One of the best, if not the very best, ofaku recipes lies here in my kitchen. Guys, this recipe is beginners friendly and it will blow your mind. Let's cook up a storm. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So like I mentioned earlier, we are cooking ofaku today, and this is one of the best recipes out there that you can ever lay your hands on. In this channel, the goal is to simplify recipes and to bring it down to such a way that just about anybody or anyone can try it out without having a fail. Okay, so it's very difficult for you to use any recipe from this channel and come out with a fail. So first things first, you have to carefully wash and select your banga, which is the palm fruit. Okay, so this is the major ingredient for this recipe. Okay, because the extract you will get from this banga is actually what you would use to make your ofaku. Okay, so banga is like the common name for this stew or soup. Some people call it soup, some people call it stew, but basically it's used to eat rice. So guys, it's stew for me. Okay, so there are different ways of cooking it, but this method comes in very handy. So you want to boil your banga until it is very soft. Okay, emphasis on very soft, okay, because if it is not soft, you are going to have issues pounding. Okay, so that's extracting the juice. Now for my leaves, I'm going to be using two different leaves. Okay, I'm going to be using scent leaf and curry leaf. Okay, so these two leaves come in very handy for me. Okay, and the combination of these two leaves actually elevates the flavor of this stew. Okay, it elevates the flavor. Some people use only curry leaf, it's fine. Some people use only scent leaf. Basically, most people use only scent leaf, but after watching this video, try and combine the two. Okay, this recipe was inspired by Hilda Baci. Some of you already know that I am an ex Hilda Baci student. Okay, so this recipe was inspired by Hilda Baci. Okay, so this recipe is very delicious. It's so nice. Okay, so I'm just going to prep the vegetables. Okay, I'm just going to prep the vegetables and have in mind that the banga is already cooking. Okay, so you want to like first set your banga to cook before you do the other prepping, so that by the time you'll be done doing every other prepping, your banga would be ready. Okay, so that you would have to like be forced to give it enough time to cook, because if you're just like checking, you will find out that you would not give it enough time to cook. But if you just put it there and then focus on every other thing you're doing, then you would allow it a very long time to cook. So guys, while I was prepping the vegetables, my brother-in-law was behind the scene doing the other prepping. So he's actually pounding the onion and the pepper mix that we are going to be using for this recipe. Okay, so guys, like I said, this recipe is beginner friendly, and today I'm actually teaching him how to make banga. He's a first timer. Like, this is the first time he would ever be making banga soup. Okay, or banga stew rather. So I think the difference between banga soup and banga stew is the leaf you actually add. Okay, so if you're adding curry leaf or scent leaf, it's going to be banga stew. But if you're adding atama, bitter leaf, it's going to be soup. Okay, so that's basically the difference. So you can see the palm fruit, you can see the banga, you can see how soft it is for me to just use my hands and run through it. So that's how soft you want your banga to be. So guys, having done that, let's now walk through the ingredients of today's recipe. So we are using chicken for our protein, and we are also going to be using goat meat. Okay, so I actually went for the goat intestine because it actually reminds me of home. It reminds me of the good old childhood memories. Okay, then I use, you already know the leaves that are here, I've already prepped it, and then some extra onion. Then this is our pepper mix pounded with some extra onion. Okay, so guys, this is it. You can see the pepper very well rough blended. So I'm just going to add the pepper into the chicken. So I want to start cooking the protein. Okay, so I'm trying to prep the protein. I'm going to be cooking the chicken differently and the goat meat differently, and this is obviously because they both have different cooking time. Okay, their cooking times are different. Okay, so if I'm to pair them together, definitely the chicken will get done before the goat meat, and plus I am using soft chicken. I'm not using the layers, the hard ones. Okay, so this is just soft chicken, so it will definitely get done before the goat meat, so I have to cook them different. Okay, so I'm just going to season this. So I'm not dropping any particular amount of seasoning cubes to use your discretion. Season to taste. Okay, season to taste. So that is basically what I'm going to say about this. And guys, did I mention that a pairing, or the pairing of your goat meat and your chicken, is a bomb in making banga? Okay, it's a bomb. Just try it. Pair your chicken and your goat meat. Okay, so you can use any part of the goat meat. I intentionally had to use the intestine because it reminds me of childhood, like I earlier said. While I was a child, our banga is always made with cow intestine. Okay, you know, all those assorted, yes, assorted, that's what we used to make banga. So this kind of reminds me of that, and that's why I went for it. Okay, so you can use any part of the goat's meat you want to use. Okay, so you can see I'm just basically marinating this proteins inside the seasonings. Okay, so that everything will be nice and well marinated. Okay, before I go further to cook them. Okay, so you can see banga is very, very easy to make, and it's just for you to understand the rudiments. Okay, once you understand what it entails, guy, you're just going to, it's a roller coaster. It's just, once you cook your banga, prepare your proteins, and then extract the juice from the banga, then everything is ready. Okay, so I'm just going to put this on heat and start cooking the protein, and then proceed to extract the juice from the banga. So like I said, I'm teaching my brother-in-law how to do this, and he's basically the one doing all the cooking. I'm just assisting with the prepping. Okay, so you can see he started by doing a very small quantity, but guys, before we finish extracting this, you will see the large quantity that he did. Okay, so it's very easy to extract banga with your mortar and pestle. Some people use their food processor, but I'm never ever gonna dare, because I want mine to last long. So those are using baci mix, so Shay, I hail you. So because I'm not using baci mix, I'm not even going to there. I rather use my mortar and my pestle, or I use my hand. Okay, so I'm going to be dropping a link in the description box on how to make banga the other way. Okay, in case you don't have a mortar and pestle and you don't have a food processor, there's another way to extract this. So I'll drop the link in the comment section, so you can see I'm just teaching him how to extract it, because he was a bit confused at this point. So I had to show him how to really extract the juice and get the most out of this. Okay, so guys, if you're a beginner, this is beginners friendly. Immediately after watching this video, head up to the market and make some banga for yourself and your family. You're going to love it, definitely. Okay, so for some people, extracting the banga juice is actually their major problem. But the thing is that you have to understand something, and that is the tip I'll be dropping for today. Now, when you're trying to extract your banga, you want to do yourself a favor of doing this when your banga is still hot. Okay, so this is just like a basic knowledge. You remember your oil, okay, your red oil. Now, when your red oil is at room temperature, it tends to be liquid, but anything above room temperature, or rather anything below room temperature, when the temperature is colder than the normal room temperature, it tends to solidify. Okay, so that's just the normal thing here. Okay, so once you finish cooking your banga, I actually advise that you don't pour out the water that you used to cook it. Let that water help it retain its heat. Okay, so the water you use to cook it, don't pour it out. Okay, let your setting be actually your banga inside the water, then your mortar and pestle, or if you're using your hand, your bowl or whatever you're using to extract the juice. Okay, then use your sieve, take the banga direct from the water down to your mortar. Okay, so it will still be hot, because that's the trick here of getting the most out of your juice. Okay, that's just the trick. Okay, and then you will see the water I keep pouring for him to extract the juice is actually normal tap water. Okay, room temperature water. So you can see this banga, you can see as I'm pouring it, you can see the smoke coming out of it, meaning that this is still very very hot. Okay, it is still so hot. So you want your banga to be hot as you are extracting the juice. Okay, and don't mind whether it's going to burn your hand, because it won't. Okay, the water I pour inside is actually room temperature water, so it kind of balances and normalized temperature, and then you can walk through with your hands. So you can see me giving him a thumbs up, because he's actually doing a good job. You can see we've moved from a little quantity to almost filling up this mortar. Okay, and this is a very good job for a beginner. So like I mentioned, this recipe is beginners friendly, because I'm not trying to be extra. Okay, I'm using anything and everything I have around the house, just to make sure that this is replicable. Okay, so that you can replicate this recipe. And like I said, if you have neither mortar and pestle or your food processor, I'm going to drop a link in the description. Do well to check it out, because that is the link to another recipe where I made banga but without mortar or food processor. I just extracted the juice with my hands, because some people actually don't have any of this, and it's fine. Who says you cannot eat banga without any of this, guys? That's a big lie, a big fat lie. Okay, so I'm going to drop the link, and with that you can always make banga whether or not you have a mortar and pestle, or whether you don't even have a food processor. Okay, so you can see this will never ever burn or hurt your hands, because the water I added is room temperature, like I earlier mentioned, and it will just help you extract the juice. Okay, so you can see, so this is actually very thick, because I don't like, one thing about banga actually is that the water you pour at this point determines what happens next. Okay, so you can see that it was too thick and it wasn't getting out the extract. I had to add extra water. Okay, so this is the consistency that you are looking out for. Okay, this is the consistency that you are actually looking out for. Now, if you use too much water at this stage, you're going to have to boil down your banga extract before making the stew proper. So all this boils down to wasting of gas and all that. So this is the best time to control the liquid that you put in here. Okay, so guys, if you're yet to subscribe to this channel, you are shooting yourself in the leg. Do that right now, because more of these are dropping. And if you're yet to key into the trend, guys, the yogurt business, oil well money, you are missing a lot. I've had a lot of reviews in this channel. Even some people bring it down to WhatsApp, thanking me on the yogurt stuff that's they've started their business. So if you're looking for a side hustle, go into my channel right now. Learn how to make yogurt from the comfort of your home and start making cool cash, guys. Cool money. Okay, having said all that, we are going to proceed to cooking the food proper. And like I said, I marinated these proteins, and right about now, after running through the ingredients, we are going to start cooking proper. So guys, this is my leaf, scent leaf, and curry leaf. I have crayfish, I have Aidan fruits, I have my seasoning cubes, and my banga spice. Okay, so I love this banga spice because of the content of local spice it has. Okay, and then I have this my pepper mix, and I have my proteins, and then the star ingredient, which is the banga extract. So guys, you can see how neat and thick this came out. This came out really really thick, and for this recipe I used almost one pint of banga. So you know that yellow rubber that they used to sell rice, yes, almost one pint of it, just a little below it. Okay, a little below it. So this is almost one pint of banga that I used for this recipe. Okay, so as you can see, the protein is already on heat and doing its thing. So guys, for my recipe, for this recipe, I'm not going to be air frying or any type of frying, deep frying this protein. I'm going to use it just as it is. Okay, so I also like to cook my protein for the banga about 70 to 80% done. I don't like it 100% done, because I will still introduce it to the banga and it will cook through with the banga. Okay, so for this reason, I don't like to cook it 100% initially, so it don't get too soft. Okay, so feel free to do whatever you like. This is what I do and reason why I do it. Okay, so you want to place your banga on heat and allow it to boil. Now guys, this is where you would determine whether you use too much water to extract the juice, because you have to boil it down. Okay, unless you like watery banga, which I do not like. Okay, so once your banga has boiled to a point where the oil is floating like mine, that is the time to continue cooking. So guys, you can see this is not my hand, and the chef of the day is already cooking. He has continued cooking his banga. Okay, so once the oil start floating like this, it's time to start cooking. Okay, it's time to start cooking. Before, you would just allow your banga on heat to boil down, if you're the type that like it thick like me, or if you use excess water to process it. Okay, so basically at this point, everything is just about just throwing all the ingredients. Sincerely, there is nothing spectacular about making banga. It's just a very straightforward thing, aside the extraction and the prepping. Once you've gotten to the stage where everything is nice and prepped, every other thing is a roller coaster, like I earlier mentioned. So you just want to I started by pouring in my pepper mix, and then I started seasoning it. Okay, so like I said, I'm not going to be dropping any quantity of seasoning, that I used for this recipe, because you have to work with your taste buds, okay? And this is because the water I used to extract might not be the amount of water that you use to extract. So that alone would make your seasoning different from mine. So you have to use your taste buds, okay? Season to taste, season to taste, okay? Season to taste. So guys, if you're yet to subscribe to this channel, this is the point where you don't just subscribe, but you have to turn on your notification bell, because this ensures that you will be notified whenever we post a new video. And guys, with the quality of stuffs we do here, you really really do not want to miss, okay? So at this point, we just went in with our meat stock, okay, because you want the flavor of everything to be infused into the banga, okay? So we just went in with our meat stock, and guys, can you see that oil floating on our banga, guys? Now this ensures, or this entails, that your banga is of a good type, okay? That your banga is very very good. Sometimes the oil quantity can even be so much, so the more the oil, the better the quality of your banga. So that's another tip to taste or to take home, okay? So at this point, having added the meat stock, I had to quickly give this a taste, okay? Because you don't want to do too much seasoning, okay? So I added in my crayfish and gave this a quick stir, okay? So guys, be mindful of the crayfish that you use in your banga. You don't want to end up putting excess, okay? Just a little. The crayfish actually adds as seasoning, and not um it doesn't really have to taste, okay? It really doesn't have to taste crayfish. Okay, then I added it salt, and we gave this a quick stir, and then we also tasted, you know, trying to adjust the seasoning basically. Because if you are new to this channel, you're welcome. But if you've been with us, you would know that I don't like throwing in my seasoning all at once. Okay, I love to do it in batches, and this entails the fact that you would not have to over season your food, when you can do it in batches and still get the accurate results that you're looking for. Okay, so but if you're the type that just like to throw in everything at once, more grace to you. That is all I can say. But for me and over here, we rather do it in batches and taste our meal. Now guys, it's time to add the banga extracts, okay? Rather not the banga extra, but the banga spice. Now like I said, I love the spice because of the ingredients. It has this ehuru, it has some other local spice blended in, okay? So it elevates the flavor of the banga, and it gives it that local flavor, okay? So it gives it that local feel in the mouth, and the aroma, it just makes everything to just sit well in the taste buds, okay? So but if you're the type that just want to build your flavors from the scratch, you can buy the ehuru and all that in the market, and do it, process it your way and add it, okay? So I just added in the banga spice, and guys, the aroma in the kitchen right now is messing with my brains, and I'm sure my neighbors are sniffing. So guys, this I love to add this spice a lot, a lot. So if you don't see me using this brand, you will see me using Success. Actually, I prefer Success, but that's not to talk down on any other banger spice out there. The main thing is just to look at the composition, okay? Look at the ingredients. So if you look at the ingredients, it will give you a knowledge of actually what you need, okay? If the ingredients they use to make the spice is what you are used to, then you can pick it up, okay? So I always look at ingredients a lot when I shop for my cookings, okay, when I do my shopping. So the next thing we added is the Aidan fruit, okay, locally called Ohiokerehio, but the English name is Aidan fruit, okay. So now, like I said, this recipe was inspired by Hilda Basi, okay. So she used this Aidan fruit because, as you all know, she's not Igbo, she's Calabar, right? So she said, like, it gives her the native feel because in Calabar they use this Aidan fruit to make banga soup. Okay, so they use it to make banga soup, and she's already used to the taste, so it kind of makes the thing feel like home. Just like me using the goat meat intestine, instead of the other parts, make me feel more comfortable and make it, it brings it home. Okay, so cooking is an act. Okay, is an act. So sometimes more than the ingredients, more than what you just want to use or you feel you should use, sometimes you just want to bring it down. Okay, you just want to bring it down to what you're used to what you feel, to what you've known. Okay, sometimes you want to try out something apart from the ordinary. Okay, so that's why cooking is an act. So feel free to explore whenever you are in the kitchen. So I just added a little bit extra salt just to adjust the taste and the seasoning. So guys, once you just start throwing in your ingredients, you would be doing a lot of tasting. Okay, some people are just too, will I say, too blessed that they just throw in everything, and at the end of the day, they don't end up over seasoning their food. And like I said, more grace. But as for me and my household, we will taste our food. So guys, pretty much this is how far we've gone with this recipe. And if you've watched this video to this point, guys, what are you waiting for? Subscribe right now, leave whatever you're doing and subscribe right now. And also, if you don't understand anything or you wish for extra clarifications, you have to drop it in the comment section, because I would respond to every comment in the comment section. Okay, I respond to all your comments, I see all of them, and I do not leave any of them unattended to. Okay, so guys, at this point I was like, I have suya spice in this house. Why don't I just try out something new? So this is the first time I'm actually using suya spice for my banga, and guys, it banged. It banged. It was so nice, and I think I have found a new ingredient for my banga stews, because guys, I'm so going to be using suya spice for my banga stew henceforth, because the taste was elevated. It was that giving. I don't even know how to explain it, but try it. Okay, if you have yaji at home, if you have suya spice, or probably if you have leftover suya, just throw it inside. I believe it will give you the same feel. Okay, so just throw it inside. And I just added a second spoon, because guys, the first one I added, the thing took it to the next level. I said, no, 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 there has to be a second spoon. Okay, so I just added a second spoon to this. And trust me, guys, we don't do the regular, here. And when we do it and it bangs, we just bring it to you guys, because a recipe has been created. So right about now, I'm just going to add in my protein, and you all already know the protein mix right here: goat meat and chicken. And like I said, the chicken was not 100% cooked. Okay, it's about 70 to 80%. So it's going to now cook its way through inside the banga, because at this point I have built the flavor, I've built the taste and everything I want in the banga. So what will now happen is that the chicken will infuse its own flavor into the stew, while the stew would also like infuse its own flavor into the chicken, and everything would just come out very, very perfect. Okay, so guys, I don't know, but I know that there are so many people going to watch this, or who have watched this or are watching this. Okay, so I want you to give me a feedback of what you think about this recipe, because sincerely, this is not the normal recipe I grew up with. This is not exactly how Hilda taught me this recipe, because I actually, elevated the recipe. That is Chef Anna for you. I don't just stick to the normal, okay? I don't stick to the normal. I have my way around my things, and I always, try to elevate my food, okay? Once I try it and it bangs, guys, a recipe has been bettered and I post it for you guys. So, is this the normal way, or is this how you know to cook banga, or am I doing too much? Guys, do you think I'm doing too much, or would you try this recipe? Would you try this recipe? Now, I want you to drop your feedback in the comment section, because I would be looking at your feedbacks, okay? I'll be looking at your feedbacks. That would even inspire and bet more recipes, okay? So the last thing to add to your banga would be your leaves, okay? Would be your leaves. And guys, remember, you're not cooking pepper soup. Don't be stingy with your leaves, okay? Be very generous with these leaves, okay? So use enough but not so much. I hope you understand what that means, okay? So don't just sprinkle your leaves. Use enough but don't use too much. Of course, you are not cooking vegetable soup. So I hope that kind of balances what I mean by when I said don't use a little, okay? So don't use a little, you're not cooking pepper soup, but don't use too much, you are not cooking vegetable soups, okay? So guys, can you see? Can you see what we have here? So this is basically how I make my banga, but actually today, apart from the suya spice, which is the newest or latest ingredient for my banga stew henceforth, every other thing remains constant. But like I promised, I'm going to be dropping a link in the description on a different way to extract your banga, okay? So guys, this is it. This is it, okay? So pretty much the banga is ready. The stew is very, very much ready at this point. So I'm just going to allow it a little more time to boil, okay? So I just want it to boil further, so that the leaf that I just put would also infuse its flavor, because guys, curry leaf is so nice, and scent leaf, both of them, they need to like release their flavors into this pot of yummy goodness, so that everything would just taste better and good, okay? So if you have any questions, drop it in the comment section and I will be here to answer, okay? So guys, I just had this crayfish and this pepper mix remaining, and I wouldn't want to waste it. That is why I had to add it, okay? So if if by anything, the leaf should be the last thing to go in, okay? Your leaf should be the last thing to go in. But that notwithstanding, it doesn't mean that your banga soup will not bang, okay? It would, like this one did, okay? So I didn't just want to waste it, because I won't be cooking any other thing today, and the light is not up for a while now. So the refrigerator is not cold, so if I leave it, it's going to spoil, and I don't want any wastage. That's why I had to just boil everything. And besides, the pepper is not too hot, okay? It's not too spicy. So it didn't do much, okay? It didn't actually add extra heat or so much heat to this food. and then for the crayfish it was just too little, and the taste didn't overshadow the stew. Okay, so guys, would you be trying this recipe? Drop it in the comment section. Is this what you are used to? Drop it in the comment section. How do you make your own? Drop it in the comment section. Am I doing too much? Drop it in the comment section. Because sincerely, even myself, I feel I'm doing too much. But why not? Why not? That's why I'm a chef, okay? So we don't do the regular, we don't do the basics. We have to elevate the flavors of the food. We have to create recipes because, guys, sincerely, this is how recipes are being created. Pour in that, pour in this, do that, do this, and before you know it, you've already cooked up a storm, like a storm, a whole storm. So I just added in a little bit of salt because my taste bud was giving me this stew needs salt. Okay, so just a little to adjust the taste. Like I said, this is how I cook. Okay, so many people do everything once, but I rather do a little at a time until I get to where I am going, because I know where I'm headed to, but I just have to, go slowly till I get to where I'm actually headed to. Okay, so guys, pretty much this stew is ready. So just bring your rice, okay? Come with your rice to my kitchen and I'm going to serve you hot hot, okay? I'm going to serve you hot hot. So you can see me adjusting and tasting, adjusting and tasting. That is how I do my things, okay? That's how I cook. So guys, at this point this food is ready. So you can see the face of the stew looking all pink and cool. Guys, I don't know, but it's been a while I ate a normal stew. If I'm not cooking sauce, I'm cooking banga, and it always bangs. Okay, it always comes out handy for me. So this is it. And well, if you're wondering, banga stew can be very funny, or banga soups, any of them can be very funny. When it's hot, it tends to be watery, but not too watery. Okay, if you know what has the potential of thickening up in a jiffy, or when it's cold, you will know. Okay, so like this one now, you can see, in as much as it's light, but you would know that it would definitely thicken up when it gets cold. So don't be scared when you're making yours and it looks as if it's watery. But so that's it for today, guys. Bye.